All right, time for our facts or facts. How you heat and cool your home has a major impact on the planet. About 20% of America's energy-related greenhouse gas emissions come from heating and cooling our homes. It amounts to about 441 million tons of carbon dioxide every year. The cooling side is especially dangerous for the environment because most air conditioners use refrigerant, which adds to the emissions.
Yeah, we do have a cleaner solution that's gaining a lot of popularity. It's the heat pump. So here to talk to us and walk us through everything we need to know about heat pumps is we got Julian Spector, senior reporter at Canary Media, who just released a special series called Home of the Future. So we're all still learning about these, heat pumps.
We hear a lot about them lately. I don't know what they are, though, really, frankly.
So I guess just give us the real quick rundown of how they're different than your traditional system.
Totally. Well, first, thanks for having me. And so heat pumps, they've actually been around for a while, but in the US, they're really gaining steam in the last few years. And they, instead of using those refrigerants like you talked about, they're able to basically suck trace amounts of heat out of the air around us. It's kind of a magical thing, but even in cold winters now, they're able to find, just enough heat out there in the air, kind of isolated, and pump that into your house. But then in the summer, they work in reverse and they suck the heat out of your home. And so the same device is able to both heat and cool you using nothing but electricity and no fossil fuels for the heating part of it.
Wow, and no refrigerant in it. That's impressive. All right, so what regions and climates are these best used for, or can we use them anywhere we live in the U.S.?
Yeah, so historically they've been strong in places like the Southeast, where you don't have too much cold to worry about in the winter, and it gets a little swampy in the summer. But the products on the market now can actually keep you warm even down to negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So there is kind of a myth that heat pumps don't work great when it's really cold, but that's really not the case anymore. So the folks I spoke with said really anywhere in the U.S. you should be able to use a heat pump and meet your home's needs. If you're in an extremely cold place, there are ways to kind of back it up with some electric resistance heating. So if the heat pump is struggling because it's just so cold, you can generate a little extra heat to boost it. But actually, in most parts of the country, you don't even really need that backup anymore.
All right, I got kind of a scientific curveball question here I'm going to throw your way. So the air conditioner was created by a person who's trying to get rid of humidity in a paper mill, if I'm not mistaken, right? So do these heat pumps, we turn on the AC, it kind of can eliminate some of that humidity you feel, let's say, in the deep south. Will this do that, or is it just blowing some of that cold, humid air your way? Do you know?
Yeah, I guess I don't know on a technical basis if it's as good at removing that humidity, but they definitely have features for that. And it's already very popular in, say, South Carolina, where it's certainly very humid. So I think it doesn't feel like you're in a just cold swamp. It's like it's able to make you feel more comfortable.
Cold swamp versus a warm swamp.
Right.
I love that. All right, let's talk about tax incentives. Are there any tax incentives?
Sure.
And also, when it comes to cost, is this more expensive than an AC, the same, or cheaper?
Yeah, so there's a ton of new tax incentives that were passed in the Inflation Reduction Act that President Biden signed last year. You can get upfront, 30% tax credit up to $2,000 on the heat pump itself. For tax credit, you gotta file your taxes, and it takes a little while to get that benefit. So you got to be aware of that. But there's a different program created by the IRA called the High Efficiency Electric Home Rebate Act. And that's for low and moderate income households. And they get, cash back up to $8,000 for the heat pump.
Wow.
And also, that's a lot.
Expensive, and ACs can get really expensive.
Yeah. So the rule of thumb is the heat pumps in the U.S., they're still generally a little bit of a premium compared to an equivalent air conditioning model, and they tend to be more expensive than the gas furnaces out there for the heating. But you have to think about it as you're kind of like taking your old gas furnace and your air conditioner and smushing them together in one device. So, if you already needed to replace both a furnace and a AC, and you can get one device instead of those two, and now you're getting tax credit and rebate. It can actually start looking like a good deal in a way that wasn't available before.
So you mentioned a number. I want to go back to that for a second. You said there is a credit out there for up to $8,000. Will you repeat that? It's a big number.
Yeah, that's a big number, and again, that's for low income households. So you have to kind of qualify for there's a cap on who can access that. But yeah, no, it's a big deal, and there's also money in there to help with your electrical panel, because sometimes adding these big electric appliances, you need to upgrade, the panel with the breakers that kind of channels the electricity.
So they all talk to each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and that could be expensive, so it's good that there's some federal benefit for that.
These heat pumps are popular, in other countries. Why have they not been as popular in the U.S. and just gaining popularity now?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I just got back from a trip to Asia, and like everywhere in Tokyo already has a heat pump. Like that's just ubiquitous there. And here it's still kind of this new thing that people are getting their heads around. Yeah, we actually are a little behind on that in the U.S. compared to other countries. I think part of that is a lot of the Japanese manufacturers were just making really good heat pumps years ago, and so there's like kind of that homegrown product that people like over there. And over here, there were fewer options in the past, and they maybe weren't working as well. But now there's much more to pick from, and I think growing consciousness about getting rid of your fossil fuels and your daily habits.
I feel like heat pumps are having their moment, kind of like Kale did a while ago, because you're hearing more and more about these heat pumps. Julian Spector, senior reporter at Canary Media, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I hadn't heard of a heat pump until just recently. And remember, Molly has a heat pump.
Yeah,
so I'm telling you, now you're hearing it.
Remember from her story, though, the reason why this is so new, she had to call a lot of people to figure out how to fix it. And there was not many people that knew how to do it now.
But more and more.
But right. So
the heat pump is the new Kale.
It's the new Kale. That's a funny analogy.